What's going on, guys? Welcome to No Impulse Control. I am Justin,
I am Jasmine.
and today we will ask Jasmine how she's doing today.
You know what? Today I'm doing fine today. How
Just
are you
today.
doing today?
Well, today I'm okay today.
Thank you, Dr. Seuss. And now for the weather.
So yeah, we're both doing great. So today is another day. So we are going to talk a little bit about something that we had to prepare ourselves for, both mentally and physically, ahead of this. Like, legitimately, we just had a
Gossip
conversation.
sesh. We had a gossip sesh. We spilled tea.
It started as a conversation, ended as a gossip sesh, as most of our conversations do. Um, about ourselves and our previous lives of living together. Um, but that's what we're talking about today.
It's a weird way to phrase that. We're talking about roommates.
Yay, roommates!
Specifically living with people, the good, the bad, the ugly, stuff like that. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
do you want? I feel like I always start. I want to give you the chance to start, friend.
Oh,
I'm gonna
I
let
don't
you
usually
start.
start
So
because I
I
don't know how to
know
start things.
I want you to. You know what?
I start
You
the
don't know how to
episodes.
start
That's why
things.
we start
You
things.
don't know how to start things yet. Growth mindset, friend.
So I'm gonna start with something good then, because it doesn't always
Okay.
have to be bad.
I
Um,
I was also going to start with something good, but that's fine.
So my thing good, if you don't know, Jasmine and I lived together for a year, 2019 to 2020, and lived together during the beginning of the pandemic. So it was
We
difficult at
also
times.
the summer of 2020 when I was living at your apartment for a while because I couldn't be at
That
home.
too, yeah, that too. But we lived together for a while, and we had growing pains, as well as we had great times as well. So
Oh
my
my
good
gosh.
thing was just the idea that we lived in a 4-person apartment.
Yeah,
It was a lot, I'll be honest.
with
But
6 people at one point.
look, we'll get there. um, I think my favorite part though was the idea that I always had I had somebody to go on adventures with, literally at my place, almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Not 24 hours a day, because if somebody hit someone else up at 2 in the morning, he would say, "No, I'm sleeping. I don't want to go to New Hampshire."
No, I would get kidnapped and we'd go to Boston.
One time! That
You're never gonna
happened
live it
one
down.
time. Yeah, just because you got attacked by a seagull doesn't
Yeah,
mean that you
that dang bird.
can.
That was my origin story for hating birds, amongst other
I
times,
thought it
but
started before that, but
it did.
that
It
makes
did.
did it?
Oh yeah, but that was like the camel that broke the camel, the straw that broke the camel's
The camel that
the
broke the
camel that
camel's
broke the
back.
straw's back.
Oh my gosh, my cheeks are killing me.
So yeah, just having that built-in
Yeah,
adventurer to go with.
and we did a
Um,
lot of adventuring during that COVID year. Like
we did.
those.
I think though I do want to mention that COVID year was kind of split between me and Storm, and I think you and
Mhm.
Storm did more adventuring just because you guys were there
Impulsive.
literally 24/7, and both of you are very impulsive. So
I think,
uh,
well, that we also worked at the daycare together, so it was easier.
true.
Like when our shift ended, we could just go.
Go, yeah,
Him and I did a lot of like long distance adventuring, like Coos Canyon, or like we would
yeah,
go on long drives because that was him and I. Like that was our thing that we did,
right,
and that just wasn't like you and I went on drives sometimes, but we usually like to go somewhere.
yeah.
And I feel like you and I went on different adventures. Like we do you remember? This was one of my favorite memories. One of, I have a lot. But do you remember that weekend that we did Resident Evil, that you came down from
Yes,
Auburn
yep.
and we had that tiny little couch that we pulled up in front of the TV and we
Three
hunkered
feet
into the
from
living
it.
room 3 feet from the TV and we were both like crouched onto the couch because neither of us wanted to move. and I kept accidentally whacking you when I would get nervous because that game, it makes me incredibly
I love
scared for
it.
some reason. But like I'd never played and you had already played through. It felt like very Big Brother to me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and I've never had that, so that was really cool. But it was just that was an adventure all of its own
yeah,
because we would pause to go get food and then we'd come right back.
yeah.
So it
It
was
was
that's a
very like,
favorite.
yeah, it was
And
very
then all of
sibling
the
esque.
very sibling. I feel like a lot of our memories are very sibling esque.
Yeah,
Anyone who knows us kind of would probably agree with that. We fight
yeah,
like siblings.
yeah.
No, yeah, no, I like that's a good memory. I was gonna say the Nerf war that we did that one day.
Oh, Connor hated us for that though. That was so
Yeah, he can
fun.
get over it is the thing. But do you remember I went up and I hid because the apartment we had an upstairs. It wasn't ours, it was the other people's in the building. It's a very weird apartment building. Um but we did a Nerf war. We all had Nerf guns because we're children. I found all mine the other day, by the way.
Mine's literally sitting over in that corner.
That's where it is?
Yeah,
Well, I found my high powered like the chunk one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I found that buried in the survivor bucket.
You still have the survivor bucket?
Yeah, I don't want to throw it away because I think it might be
Fair,
cursed. Um,
fair. Also fair.
but no, so I went up the stairs and I hid, and I waited for so long for you guys to come out in that hallway that I got bored. And when Storm opened the door, I shot his hand just to get him interested. And instead of him coming out, he shut the door, and I was like, "But I was up there for like 20 minutes, but hearing you guys inside walk around and I was trying not to giggle because I was like trying to hide, but it was so fun and like that adrenaline rush. And just those memories are some of my absolute favorites of living with you guys.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a big proponent, big person for getting the bad out of the way first. So
Oh,
why don't we
good
jump
thing we
into
started with the
that?
good.
Well, yeah, I wanted to get the good because good is
I
good.
got one.
Um, oh dear. Okay.
Chores was one of the
Mm,
worst. And I'm not just thinking like, because we lived together, but I had three roommates before, separate before
yeah.
you. And home and whatever, but like chores are the bane of my existence regardless because it's a lot of executive functioning.
Hmm.
But when I felt like I was in charge of the chores, it got to a point where it kind of drove me insane. And there were a lot of times at our apartment that it felt like you and I were cleaning.
Hmm.
And then there were times when, like, I know you were up north for a while, um, or I don't know where you were, but you were somewhere at the start of the pandemic that you weren't at the
I was up
house.
north.
You were up north. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But like it got to a point where I came home from North Carolina at one point, and I have the picture proof of like just how
I remember you
much.
sending this to me.
Yeah, I sent it to the group chat because I was so mad. But like how much
I think you
recycling there
sent it to me
was.
first. I
I
think you sent
did.
it to me.
I sent it to you first, and I was like sending this to the group chat. And you were like, oh, yeah. I did delete the paragraph I was gonna send, but like the trash and the dishes and stuff, and I was like, we're all adults. Please somebody else do these things because I am so tired of being the only one.
Yeah.
And yet I can't live. Don't look at my background, but like it stresses me out. And then even before you guys, like that was a point of contention with a couple of my previous roommates was like just the chores and the like cleanliness. And we would both be messy and messy is fine. We're in college, like it makes sense. But then when it was time to clean and neither of us wanted to clean, neither of us held each other accountable, but then it was sort of like I was expected to clean my mess, but the other person wasn't. And I was like, but
Yeah.
that's not fair. Why do I have to clean the room and you don't have to at all? You just get to go home for the weekend.
Right.
So,
I know for me
anyway.
when with that specific topic it was uh I always saw it, especially living in an apartment, I always saw it as I'm gonna clean my shit and I'm gonna worry about me only. Because
Yeah.
I can live, and unfortunately I've had previous experiences of living in not super cleanly places. I can live in that kind of environment and
Hmm.
survive and be okay. I prefer not to.
Right.
I prefer to have a fairly, like, doesn't have to be spit spot clean, but like,
Tidy.
nice ish house, like good place to survive. Um,
Block that.
but but I know like when I was in the apartments, like frisbee house, I cleaned, but it was like my stuff only, and that
Right.
made me look like a jerk because there would be days where the other two would want to clean, and I'd be like, I don't want to because I didn't take part in your party that you just threw. I didn't take part in the bottles that are out front. Like,
Right.
I don't feel like I am supposed to do that, and I completely understand where you're coming from on that side of it.
There were a couple times when I was in that rage clean mode where it was like the trash had been piling up for weeks.
Hmm.
Or do you remember the biohazard in the fridge
Oh yeah, I remember it.
in one of my Tupperware
Yeah, I
where
remember.
we pulled it? You and I were like rage clean the kitchen, and then we were like,
What is this?
"What is this? Why is it pink?
Yeah, it
Is
was
this supposed
gross.
to be?" Yeah, it was pink mold, guys. Just so you're all
Leftover
aware.
tofu.
Was it tofu?
It was tofu.
I thought it was meat.
Nope, it was tofu. It was gross.
Because we were
Um,
gonna just throw the Tupperware out, and we were told not to. That it was gonna get cleaned. I remember that now.
yeah,
But like,
yeah, yeah.
I remember getting mad, and this is just part of me growing up and realizing that it's not. I can't control it, but I wanted you to help me clean everything if you were gonna help me clean. And I remember you were mad at the situation as well, and you did just your dishes, and I thought you were doing all the dishes. So I was taking out the trash and cleaning the bathroom, and I came out and I was like, he only did his dishes, but the rest of the dishes are right there. Why didn't he just? He had to move all those ones out to get to his peanut butter ones. What do you mean you didn't do? And I was so mad. I had to go for a walk. You know how often I go for walks. I had to leave the house. I was so mad at you. And I think I called my mom and I was like, Mom? And she goes, Jasmine, you never cleaned when you were here. Why do you care so much? And I was like, that's not the point. The point is, Justin didn't do my dishes, and I cleaned the bathroom and the trash and like, and I was just, I didn't have to do any of those things. I could have just taken out my trash. I could
Right,
have done my part of the bathroom that was messy, but I chose to do the rest of it. So I felt like everyone else should choose to do the rest of it with me.
right.
I have
I
a very
also
hard
like,
time letting go of that control.
yeah, and two things here. One, I do know that there was like specific jobs that you and I literally alternated. Like none of the others would take care of like the trash. That was
We
us
had a
unless
chore
we
wheel,
told
didn't
them
we?
to.
We had like a chore calendar for a while.
Did we? We had a
Uh-huh.
trash. Who's taking out the trash calendar
And dishes.
and dishes? Yep. Because yeah, we did have
Because we
dishes.
used to
Yep.
make family dinners.
Yep. Yep.
That stopped
Yeah.
after week 2, by the way,
I was
guys.
gonna say that didn't last long, but yeah. So like, I do remember we alternated like trash, and then like it would be back and forth, and then
Yeah,
like, what was the other thing that we both did a lot?
living room.
Living room, cleaning the living
Our
room.
living room.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
because there
that was
was
the other thing.
two
We had
sets.
two. We had, well, it was supposed to be a
It was a
dining
dining
room.
room, but it was rug, so like it was just like a living room vibe. So we just made it into a second
Also, the
living room.
floor pitched down so you
Yeah,
couldn't eat on
pretty
the
hard.
table.
But yeah, so that was pretty annoying when we
Hmm.
were like, there's four of us here and it's just us cleaning. That was not
Yeah.
okay in I know not in my eyes, but I'm assuming not in yours as well. I will say, in your because there were many times I remember this very clearly, because occasionally you would block up the doorway. There were many times where if you were in anxiety cleaning or
Oh
stress
yeah.
cleaning or mad cleaning, whatever
Yeah.
it was straight up, don't come near this place because I am cleaning, get out of the way.
Yeah.
So like for me on the outside looking in, I was like, okay, not gonna touch that.
Yeah.
Let
You ever
her
seen
deal with it.
those? You ever seen those skits of like moms when they're cleaning on Saturday
That's
morning?
literally what it
They're like,
was.
"No
That's
one
yeah.
ever helps me. Do you want some help? No." And that's. But it's like I wanted help, but I didn't want to tell you that I wanted help.
Yeah. I mean,
I just
I
wanted
do
you.
remember asking. You were like, no, no, and then
Yeah.
after that one, I was like, all right, I'm not gonna ask anymore.
Well,
Like,
and part of it I think too was I didn't want you to feel like you had to, and I didn't want to inconvenience you. So I was like, no, no, it's okay. I've got this. And then as I'm cleaning, I'm like, I don't got this, and I would like some assistance. But I've already said no, so I can't go tell him that I want assistance because I would rather eat leather, straight up raw leather, than go, take back something I've said. We're
gross.
working on that. But yeah.
I do. I so like I said, there were growing pains with living with each other. Uh,
What? We
one
did
of
so great.
one of the things, and this is so minuscule, and it. I have a wife of almost 3 years now, and still bugs me if she does this. And I won't like. It's not something that like to start an argument over or anything like that. That's why I didn't argue with you about it often. But
I was gonna say, I was
um,
like, I feel like that's not
between
grace.
you and Jake and Kevin, there was always a cup or a plate or something left out in the living room, and that's where I spend most of my time. And there was always that, and I was always like, just pick up your dish and put it in the sink. Like that was my like dry like Jack what's his name off of the like here's
Psycho.
Johnny Psycho. That was my moment of like, if you
Johnny.
don't
His name
start
is
John,
Johnny.
is it Johnny? Duh.
Here's
Here's
Johnny.
Johnny. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my
Read,
here's Johnny
read,
moment.
read,
I'd see a cup and I'd be like, okay, they'll pick it up. And then an hour later, it's still there. Okay, fine. It's, they haven't been around.
read.
And then they'd come in and then leave. And I was like, maybe they don't remember it. So then you'd sit on the couch right next to the cup with a new cup of like water or whatever. I say you as in like it's not
No,
just
it's
you, it's
mostly me.
others, but like
I do
there
that
was
still as an
it was
adult.
so like consistently there was always
So
something, and I'm like,
this is this is something from childhood. For me, I don't know about the other two. But from childhood, that was just like a thing we always did. Was we just like you grab a cup of coffee and you bring it with you and then you just set it down, right? Like we all have our things in my home.
Mhm,
You know
mhm,
this.
mhm.
And we just set it down and then you can't find it, so you go make a new cup and then you come in and well there's my other one, and so you just drink them both and then you leave the cup there because you get other things to do. And I still have trouble with that. I just removed the old chip bag because I do it with like chip bags all the time. I fold them up and set them places, or popcorn bowls. That was a big one. Was
That was a
popcorn.
big one. Yeah. I
Yeah,
I out of pettiness, I wouldn't touch those dishes.
I know.
I would leave them there for
There were
months.
there were times when you were on dishes and you would do all of the dishes begrudgingly, but you would do them, and you would leave my popcorn bowl, and I'm like, just wash the dish. Why are you leaving this one? You were like, I'm not. You didn't bring it in. I had to go get it, and I'm like, okay, you went and got it. Just wash it. And I never knew until now how much it bothered you. I'm so
It
sorry.
drove me up a wall. But I'm not, like you were saying, I'm not gonna be
Yep.
like, go pick up your dish. Like, no, it's not that big of a deal. But in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna kill someone.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. Yep.
um, that was not a pleasant event.
No.
And then we had Storm living in the second living room for a while.
We hung up a curtain so we would have some privacy, but the windows didn't close all the way. So he was like, many mornings I'd be coming back from wherever, like work or whatever, and I'd just see Storm asleep in his boxers out of the blanket through the window. That's why we never
Um,
got robbed.
yeah,
Storm's
they were
bare
they were
ass in the window.
Storm. But yeah, he would also add into that, and I was just like, I might have to leave. I might have to leave.
Oh, and then during the pandemic, oh my god, the table. Because we were all working at the table.
You say all as it. I didn't work at the table. I worked in the living room or in my room, and mostly in my room, especially during the pandemic.
That's true.
I started self
So
isolating because of the pandemic.
I know it was I know. Um because I used to do that where I would go into my room and work off my suitcase when I had an assignment due that I'd put off for weeks, and I'd emerge and be like, "Do you want to play Call of Duty?" I cannot. I must go back and type.
I need to leave my
I
dishes and go back.
I never really left dishes in my room.
You did on your nightstand, but they weren't like they were
Cups.
like
I
cups,
left cups.
yeah. So like
It'd be one-
occasionally there would
It'd be one juice cup. And I
yeah.
would just recycle for a while, and then I'd be like, okay, that's really gross. A new cup. We ran out of cups quite frequently.
I
In
was
our
gonna
house.
say occasionally I would have to go into your room to grab all the cups.
Because I'd come back and be like, "Donde esta?"
Because like we had no cups and I wanted juice. Like I wanted my fruit punch and I was gonna get my fruit punch.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah.
so that was my like it wasn't like life and death. It wasn't anything bad, but that was like my ugly. That was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I think I don't really have any that are big that like I want to talk about here necessarily, just because they're so specific.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not roommates, it's my specific roommate that I just don't want to go down that
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
Um but yeah. Yeah.
I think another one that like and this was just like small stuff like um
But evidently you've remembered it for 4 years.
I have and I don't remember like I don't know why I remember these things cuz like literally there's no impact on me now. Like has
Right.
nothing like no bearings here. But like there was a time during our friendship where we were living too close together with 6 other people in the apartment. uh,
Hmm.
Backstory: pandemic hit, and it was 4 of us, and then my friend was I invited him down because he was in a crappy situation.
Connor came first cuz he had to drive me from North Carolina,
Oh,
and
okay, I couldn't remember who was
he ended
first,
up
but
staying for a month,
I was gonna
and
say
then
it
we
was like
invited
it was a
Storm
short
like a
time, and then
week
Storm.
later. Yeah.
Yeah,
He came back for a little while though.
yeah, but yeah, because he was there, and then I left, and then he came back. Connor came back, and then I told Storm
Yeah.
to get down to my house because
Yeah.
he was not in a good living condition at all.
And he was there like the next day.
He like legitimately, I gave him the address, and he was gone. Like I
Yeah.
sent him on his way, kicked him out of the county, and sent him down here or down towards Farmington.
Yeah.
Hoped he made it, and who knew?
Well, he got
um,
there and he was like, Jasmine! And I was like, Storm! We did
this was
not
like
know
the
each
third
other.
time meeting each other ever.
We were instant friends.
I know, because I
Instant
forced it
friends.
upon you guys.
We really didn't have to force very
I didn't really
hard.
have to force. No, you guys
You
were
were just
trying to
like, this is
build.
Jasmine
You're
and Storm. And we were like,
other than that one night where I had to work and I invited Storm down. That one felt a little forced, and it was only forced because it was legitimately without me. Like
what night
it
was
was the
that?
first time. It was the first time he came down. I had to
Yeah.
work, and it was.
Yeah.
I actually think it was the night that he came down. Like you guys connected, which was fine, but it was a little forced because I
The
was like, so I'm not around, so you got to hang out with Jasmine, and you guys will be good friends.
yeah,
But trust
we
me,
went to Walmart.
yeah. And then
And
you
I
brought me
found out that
food.
he liked, yeah, no, but I found out he liked Britney Spears because it came on and we sung it
Yeah,
in the car. And I was like, and then we listened to Gangnam Style. And I have a video of him going, instead of the Oppa Gangnam Style, he was just making up his own words. So it was
yeah.
because he doesn't know any of them. He might now. Storm, do you know the words yet? Um, but yeah, it was, so we were like instant. And then we brought you food and we kept driving around because you were like, hey, buddies,
I
what you
was
up
checking in on
to?
you guys. I needed to
Yeah,
make
we
sure
were
you guys
like,
were
oh, we were
okay.
driving around, and then we went here, and like we that was our first drive around. We drove for
Yeah,
like 3 hours while you were at work,
yeah,
and then we picked you up and we kidnapped you, and we drove around some more and made you listen to trap music with us.
yeah, yeah. You did.
Yeah.
Me and my FRC shirt.
Yes, in our Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang.
Oh, that sucked. So yeah, there was a time in our life when there was a lot of people living in a small space,
Yeah,
and you and I specifically,
yeah,
and I say this with the idea for everybody who's listening, uh, communication is key. Like
yeah.
we had to learn that, but like communication is key in any
But
relationship, whether it's friendship, love, whatever.
we were told to learn that.
Well, we had it down, and then the pandemic was like, no, you don't. And then our
I,
future spouses
yeah.
decided, yes, you got to figure this crap out.
Well, and a big part was we had this level of communication down really well. But when we got mad at each other, we could just leave
Yeah, we
and
could
go to
separate.
work or go somewhere else. Like we didn't have or go to class,
Yeah,
and we could be separated for like 20 hours and then
right.
come back and be, sort of ignore it. I think a lot of times we did ignore it.
I think we did get good
because
though before the pandemic. We were good
yeah,
at communicating at like once we processed, we
once
were
we
able to come
processed for
together
sure.
and then like have that
And I think
conversation.
even if we never solved the problem, we could just say, this happened. We're
Yeah.
moving. Like, I can't talk about this. We're moving on. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Move on. Do
I
you want to play
distinctly
Call of Duty or
remember,
not?
do you want to go shoot each other or not? I distinctly remember there were times, specifically the word thud should come to mind, or thunk. I think it
Thunk.
was thunk.
It's
Yes.
thunk. Thunk.
Um, she came into my room and I'm sitting on my bed. I think I was doing homework or something. And she comes in and she's
Yeah.
like, "Can we talk?" Because we had gotten into an argument or whatever it was, the
Yeah.
friendship squabbles of our lives.
What
But
Friends episode is that? The one with the squabble?
yeah, the one with the squabble. But yeah, so she came in, "Can we talk?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And we talked a little bit. And literally, like 30 minutes later, we're laughing so hard that she legitimately rolls off the bed, and the sound that her between her mouth
Thunk.
and the body, it was just like a thunk, and it was so funny. And that was legitimately like the funniest moment I think I like had for a long time because of like she just fell off the bed and it was just thunk. It was so funny.
And there were times when Justin and I were like fighting to a point that I was worried about our friendship, like in all honesty, because we were not talking. There was this 2 week stretch where we said hi to each other. We were in
We
the
lived
living
in the
room.
same building.
We
It
lived in the
was
same building, but we were
yeah.
not we were not
Yeah.
in the same house. And I think Connor was still living there at that
Yeah.
point because he was trying to get me to talk to you. And I was like, I'm not, no, I'm not talking to him. I don't even know what it was about. Something
Both
stupid,
of
I'm
us are
sure.
super stubborn,
Yeah,
so that's why
maybe.
it built to
That's
that.
probably, yeah. But something had happened and we were both like, we were in the living room. One of us was in there and the other one joined. So the first one left. And like
Yeah.
that went on for 2 weeks and it was heartbreaking. I was so upset that I thought that I was losing my friend. I was talking to Storm about it and like, how do I get it back? And he was like, I don't know, this has never happened. And I'm like, what do you mean this never happened? Because Storm is not as stubborn as we are about certain things. I'm sure he's
Storm
very stubborn
Storm
about other
is
things.
Storm was very passive, especially back then.
Yeah, this is true. But no, we finally got to a point where we were talking, but I remember one day I was so tired of not talking that I went into your room and I was bugging the shit out of you, just like constantly poking you or bugging you or asking you questions. And you got so mad at me and you told me to leave. And I went, no, I'm not leaving. I'm here now. And I laid on your bed and you kicked me off of the bed and I landed and I didn't thunk, but I said thunk. And
I do remember that.
all I heard was this like very childish giggle. And I was like, this asshole is laughing at me. I could have died here on this floor. And then I was like, "It's kind of funny though, because I said it without even realizing. And that broke our 2 week stretch of not talking,
Yeah.
was just saying thunk.
I think that broke it. I mean, you and I both know what fixed it, but
Yep.
I,
He made me stand outside in the cold in a pair of pajama shorts until I would talk to him. And he
because
wouldn't let
she
me
was
back
being
inside my house.
super stubborn over stupid things. So
But it wasn't stupid to me.
it was stupid in the terms of the living situation, all of it.
I don't even know what it was about, but I
I
know it
don't
wasn't
either.
stupid to me.
Because I was frustrated about it too. Whatever it was, there was like an equal frustration both ways, but it
And
just
had we
needed to
just
be like,
I do remember that because I was mad that I thought I was mad at you for thinking you had done something. You were mad at me for thinking I had done something. Had we just talked in the first place, neither of us had done that. It was a third party,
yeah.
and we just needed to communicate. Oh god,
I
yeah.
think I remember actually. It had something to do with the inviting of others into our homes. It was a third party situation, but
Hmm.
it had something to do with the extra two people that were invited
And the money, yes,
and the money. Yes.
yes.
And so like I'm pretty sure my words were, "We are not going inside until we figure this out."
I did try. I tried to go inside.
Yeah, you did try, and I said no, and I'm pretty sure you actually Did you go in or you walked? You walked
No,
towards the door. I stood
no,
where
I
I was
walked.
standing.
You body hugged me and wouldn't let me
I did.
go. You grabbed and hugged, and you were like, "We're having this conversation." I was like, "I don't want to." Do you know what else? And this is not a you thing. This is our upstairs neighbor thing. Parking. Do you
Oh.
remember when they parked so close to me because they
Yep.
wanted our spot? And I was like,
Hmm.
"Get here sooner if you want this spot." And then you and I started parking strategically next to each other, but
Yeah.
like off kilter, so
And then
that
they
if
would pin
one of
us
us,
in.
yeah, yeah, because we were parking off kilter, so that if one of us got pinned, the other one just had to back out, and then that one could go.
Yeah.
Jerry rig it a little bit, but I hated the parking at that apartment,
Yeah.
and it was so dumb that we couldn't park on the street.
Yeah. I didn't
I
mind down
hated.
below though. Like it really wasn't terrible. It just kind of
Yeah, but
sucked. It was more walking. That's all it really was.
it it sucked that way, but also people going to take their trash. I don't know. I felt like I don't know. Parking up top made me feel superior, and
I
those
know
were
because you have
also
a
our
superior
parking
superior
spots. Well, they were
conflict.
also our parking spots. That's what our landlord told
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. They
Was
did
the
say
top
those are your
spots were
spots.
for us, the
Right.
four people in the bottom floor. Like that was ours, and they were supposed to park down bottom.
Yeah. So with the negative, let's talk positive. Let's get at least one more positive of
Okay.
living with people in this.
So positive for me, not to get like all sappy and weird, but like had some of my truly favorite memories living with you guys. I said that
Yeah.
already a little earlier, but like there are things that I do now that I almost wish I was coming home to you guys to
Hmm.
talk to you about. And like you and I had some of the most fun debriefs after something, like we would go somewhere and something really stupid would happen, or like class we would go, and even before we lived together, which I think is what made it so we wanted to, um but we would have like these just really fun debriefs. The rap that we wrote, like that sticks in my head, and
Oh yeah.
I use that as like a learning tool. Sorry, I'm very
I
uncomfortable in
forgot
this
that we
seat.
wrote a rap
We wrote a rap for one of our projects in our special education class that we were taking in
in
practicum.
in your special education class. I don't remember writing it for
Our
me. Was it
It was
ours?
Kate's class in practicum. It was our
Oh
like there
yes,
was
because she
it was
loved it.
practicum. Yeah, she loved it, and we were like, "This is done."
Yeah,
But
we
like,
half butted it all the way through.
we did amazing. Thank you.
I
But
don't
no,
know
like
if I wrote my stuff.
that's one of my that's like a top memory for me, and I use that as a teaching tool with my kids
Yeah.
currently, and I tell them like that's I feel like where our friendship started to bloom was in practicum. Like we were friends,
Hmm.
and then we just kept getting paired up, or we kept pairing up with each other out of
That was
comfort.
more of what it was.
Yeah, yeah, they didn't pair us together. They tried not to.
Yeah, they didn't
Um,
like us to be together.
we were hilarious. I'm just saying, but
We
like
still are.
we still are. We're
Hence why
amazing.
all the people will listen to us. Like,
But no, like I loved living with you guys even through the bad. And
yeah,
there were a lot of bad times because we were broke college kids. I mean, we were paying $380 a month for an apartment that we
right,
should have been paying a buck 50, like 150 max for that apartment.
right.
That apartment was not worth $380 a month. Um but like I don't know, that was just those broke college years were really good memories. And then you moved out, and I went with you to Darcy's grandparents because it was just it was weird not having you. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like I love Storm, and who else did I have? Oh, and Emma. Because at one point it was just Storm and I living together.
right.
And was Kevin still living with us? No.
No, me and Kevin and Jake all moved out the same time. You had to get 3 new. Andrew was gonna get in there, but he couldn't because of COVID.
No, he didn't.
He didn't because of COVID, right?
Yeah. And then
And then
oh yeah, Emma
Storm and
Stims.
then
Yeah, so it
Emma.
was
Yeah,
just Storm and I for a while, and there was I feel like there was someone else living with us. Brent.
Brent. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. And I think that was it. It was just us three. But like it was just different, and I didn't have you, and it was always like, well, when Justin was here, what we would do is, well, I used to do this when Justin lived here, but now we have to do this. Or like the movies that we watch would be like, well, Justin would want to watch a horror movie with me. Just saying.
Yeah.
Like Justin would want to play this video game with me, and then we would try and play Call of Duty online, but one or both of our internets would go out at any given moment.
Yeah.
And it was different. And it was nice coming to stay at the grandparents' apartment and kind of relive that roommate situation again. Although much closer quarters there.
Yeah, there
Um,
was no separation there. It was a
yeah.
literal one-room basement that was big
So I
enough.
mean,
Like it had
it was
everything I
not big
needed.
enough for the three of
It
us.
was big enough for me and Darcy for what, half a year and a quarter, something like that. I think it was
It was kind
for
of,
the two of
yeah.
us. I think it was about half a year. For me, it was a year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. A year.
It was over a
No.
year.
When did you move in?
I
2020
moved
and you
in
got married in
2020 and got,
21.
yeah, August of 21.
Yes.
So it was a
Yes.
year and a couple months for me, and a couple months for
And
me
then
and
you
Darcy,
lived,
because
yes.
we
Okay,
were
cuz you
there
guys
until
moved out in
December
like,
of 21, because that's when
wasn't
we
it
bought the
January?
house.
Yeah, and then you
Yeah, it
guys
was
moved in
January.
January cuz I
Right.
had my new car. But like
Yeah.
even that, like it just I don't know. I feel like it brought us a lot closer. And
Yeah.
even though we had fights, we were able to get through them a lot easier because we were so close. And it
Yeah.
was late nights, staying up until 2 in the morning, laughing at dumb shit.
Yeah. I think, yeah, and that's kind of leading into what my next one was. Like, I know this is gonna really sound sappy, all right? So I'm not a sappy person for anybody who doesn't
Okay,
know
I'm
me.
ready. I'm ready.
But I know, like, I love where I'm at now, but it's almost a daily occurrence that I have a memory or a thought of, man, I wish I was back in college. Whether that's because of my friends, whether that's because I actually enjoyed being in school, which is not something I thought I'd say after high school.
Right.
Whether that was, having my job at the FRC, like, I loved everything about college for me, except for
Yeah.
my freshman year. My freshman year was a trash year,
We
and
don't
I
talk
hated
about
it.
freshman year
We don't
ever.
talk about freshman year. But I loved everything about UMF and being there, and like that's where I found my future wife. That's where I found my best people, like all of that. And the uh,
So
what's it?
sappy.
What's Andrew Bernard said it best. I wish we knew that we were in the
Oh
good
no.
times while we were still in the good times, because that's sometimes how I feel. And I know, like, in a couple of years I'll look back fondly at this memory and at this like time of my life, but it's just right now it's like that
Man.
was fun. That was it. That was like, I didn't have responsibilities. I did, but they weren't
But
like
I didn't.
all of this like stuff that I
I
have to do
wasn't getting
now.
up every day at like the butt
Yeah,
crack of dawn to go to work.
exactly.
I was going to the FRC to hang out with you and
Yeah,
bully you while you were working.
like, I would get up earlier some days than I normally do now, but I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
being there. It was just like one of those things. Um,
Yeah.
so like just the idea of, the good old days being the good old days,
Hmm.
but they have to go by to be the good old days. I think another thing that also, like, for you and I, that you and I, for the growth element of it, like, I agree, having living together, there were hard times, but also at the same
Hmm.
time that helped us grow. We wouldn't
Yeah.
have been we wouldn't be as close as we are now if we didn't go through that year of the highs and the lows of,
Yeah. High
what we
school
went
football,
through.
yes.
What?
The highs and lows of high school football.
Sure.
It's a quote.
um
It's fine.
but yeah, so it's just kind of one of those things that, it happened, it was awesome, I miss it, but also at the same time I'm excited for the future. And
Yeah.
we're in each other's weddings. Uh I DJ'd your wedding unexpectedly. I there's so many other things, like, I feel like you and I and Darcy and Connor now go on more adventures than we really did, like true adventures than we really did
Yeah.
in, like, because
Well,
we
we
have
have
money
money
now.
now.
We have
We have
adult
big people
money
jobs.
now.
Like we just went to Boston this September for
Yeah,
a Red Sox game for my birthday, but like it was for my birthday, but it was more than that. Like we went and all stayed in a hotel room together, and we went and
right.
tried a new restaurant, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
And
We wouldn't have
I'm
done that in
over.
college. Other than you
We
stealing
couldn't.
me, we couldn't financially. I wouldn't have done that.
Well, we went to a couple Red Sox games. That was where our friendship really started. Was
I
when
got
you
those for
asked.
free.
Yeah, I had to pay $15, but
$15
Anyway, but
for seats at a Red Sox game.
seats is a really big
Yeah.
stretch. We were near the Red Sox game, but like we went on that really cool adventure, and I feel like I'm in you guys' lives in a way that I'm not really in anyone else's life.
Yeah.
Like I'm at your house all the time. My nephews, the cats, but like I have nephews at your house, and like I'm involved in both of your families. Like
Right.
I was at your wedding, but I was also helping out with the wedding in a way that I feel like friends don't, but best friends do.
Right.
And you guys are so involved in my family, and we know probably more personal details about one another than we should. Which also growth from college, because there are some things that I know about you that in college you'd be like, I can't tell you that. That is a sworn secret. I can never tell a soul. No one, not even my doctor, shall know this information. And
What
now we
doctor? What
just
do you mean? I never had a doctor.
no one, neither my shaman nor I shall know this information. But like now we just talk about it while we're watching a horror movie. You
Yeah.
know, we watch sitting on the futon watching a very bad horror movie and just
Very
like,
bad horror movie.
yeah, what was it called? The Black Phone?
I That one wasn't too bad. It was the Christmas
Krampus.
one, yeah.
Krampus.
I
Ma
think it
was good
goes
though.
What's that? Ma was
Ma
good,
was
yeah.
good. Yeah.
I
But yeah,
think
I
that
just
kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier of like we don't have
we
the friendship. We have a sibling type thing.
right.
It's no longer a
We're
friendship. It's so close that we're like
yeah.
sibling-esque.
And I feel like we were so like not that we were so young comparatively to now, but we kind of were.
Hmm.
Like we've known each other for 7 years.
Right.
7 years this August. That's insane.
Yeah.
Like thinking about that is insane to me because 7 years ago I am a very different person.
Same.
And I feel like you were a very different person. We've grown up together. Like
Right.
from
And
this
it's
18,
and it
19-year old.
right. And it was very much like through hard times. I
Yeah.
mean, the world shut down halfway through that. Like that's a tough time. We were living together in close quarters. That's a hard time. We had and not just living together in close quarters because that's not always a bad thing for people. It was the element of like we are so similar that sometimes we piss each other off.
Right.
Like and that's just
We
normal. Like and if you look at my siblings, Patrick, Noah, Riley, Tia, every single one of them I've lit up and they've lit me up. Like we
Rosemary.
argue. Rosemary, like we all
That's it.
argue.
That's all I've got.
I may have a couple more. Who
Hey,
knows?
you know, as good or bad as we have it, we're not like Connor and his roommates who locked their cabinets from one of their roommates.
That's very true.
They locked.
We thought about
like,
it though. We thought about it. You and I contemplated it.
Yeah, because there was rotten milk under the couch.
We thought about it.
Because there was rotten milk under the couch. We almost locked up the fridge. You remember that?
Yep,
And we couldn't
yep.
figure out how to lock it up without us having to unlock it every time.
Yeah, I do remember that. So,
Yeah.
Jasmine, I'm just gonna
We've been
say that
talking
our
for so long.
yeah, I'm gonna say that our socials are in the description below. So
Find me on
whoever edits
TikTok and
this-
Instagram.
Yeah, and you can
Bet you
find me
can't.
everywhere else. Bet you can't. Otherwise, we appreciate you listening to us. I don't know what kind of response we'll get to this, but I hope we get a good one. Again, I know I said it last week, but share it. Post it to your stories. Send it to your parents, your friends, your grandma, whoever,
Put us
or
on a
grandfather.
billboard.
Put us on a billboard. If you put us on a billboard, I might actually give you a hug, and that's a big deal.
Billboard.
Look, leave me alone.
You
Phonetics.
added it sounded like Build-A-Board, and I was like, it's not Build-A-Bear.
Build a
But
board.
you could put our faces on a Build-A-Bear.
Please don't do
Record.
that.
Put our voices in the little heart where
That
you
would
can
be
record
cool.
the message.
Here, I'll
for
say
a
it. Hang on.
podcast
Wait.
episode.
Pause. Time out. All right. You got to record this part. Okay. This is for your Build-A-Bear. This is for your Build-A-Bear. Remember that. I'm Justin.
I'm Jasmine.
And we love you very, very much. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.